project for this morning is to test basically the DALRC QOSD with the Quanum FPV cradle for the Mobius camera on the Ranger 1600. It's not particularly a test of the Ranger 1600 per se. I mean, but you know, I've been gradually edging up to this. I put the cradle on it and flew it with the cradle and the Mobius camera, but I wasn't happy with the lack of you know, I felt we really needed some guidance as to heading and location and things. You really need an on-screen display if you're going to try and fly something like that FPV. I'm not going to try and fly FPV this morning either. I just want to test it, but I've got everything wired up now. It was very misty when I came. I had to wait for the mist to clear. We're getting there just about. Okay, so everything is basically wired on here. Let me take the lens cap off this, I guess. Famous last words. It's a bit hard to get the lens cap off this one because it's a bigger lens cap. This is the Mobius. This here is the Mobius with the C2 lens. I bought a second Mobius. I'm filming this with the Mobius with the A lens on my hand, but this is the Mobius with the C2 lens I've got on here now in the Quanum cradle. I've also put new antenna. I wasn't very happy with the reception before, so I've bought two new antennae, a transmitter and a receiver, and I've got those. That's the transmitter one and that's the matching receiver one. I took the patch off that. I didn't think the patch was working terribly well. So this is the OSD and its GPS wired under here. Basically the cradle, the Quanum cradle for the Mobius only has two connections. It has a power connection on the back here and a cam. This is cam out and OSD on the side, and if you're not using an OSD you put a jumper on that. So basically, and this is going to plug into the balance plug of the battery. So the power from the battery is coming to the power in to the OSD, and the cam out from the cradle is coming to the signal in of the OSD. So that's power in, signal in. And then power and signal out are coming from here. The power out is going to the power of the cradle, and the signal out is going to the OSD in at the cradle. And then the GPS is connected to the front. I've tested this indoors. It did seem to work, although I was getting no GPS indoors. And whether we're going to get GPS here, I don't know. We'll see. I sincerely hope we are, because the whole thing's a bit pointless if you've got no GPS. But anyway, I made a couple of minor changes in the menu of the OSD when I brought it up. The only things I changed at the moment, I left the display default. The only things I changed basically was I changed the video system from PAL to NTSC. It defaulted to PAL, and I don't want it as PAL. Don't quite understand that. I mean, if it was on PAL, I don't even understand how I could see the menu if I was displaying it. But anyway, I could see the menu fine. And I changed it to NTSC. And the other thing was I changed the mounting direction to backwards, because you can't see it now, it's on the top, but the arrow on the OSD points that way. And initially I did mount it with that pointing forward, then I realized you could just change it in the menu, and it's much more convenient in terms of the wiring for me to have it mounted the other way. So that's what I did. Fish out my battery connector here. So basically, not exactly sure, to be honest, where I want the battery here in terms of balance. I think that should about be reasonable. We're not going to do anything too exciting with this, but okay, so that's the, I'm going to turn the transmitter on. I've got the transmitter set to the right model. Just looking at the mist, there's some fairly heavy mist over there still. Hopefully it's mostly hugging the ground. The sun's up, you can see the sun fighting its way up there through the through the mist over the trees. Okay, so that's power to the receiver of the plane. The plane's hooked up now. Now, I need to hook this up to the balance plug. It's complicated and it makes me a bit nervous, all this stuff, but whatever, you do what you can. Yeah, we got power. We got power to the cradle. Now we've got power to the camera. Okay, we'll switch the camera into, famous last words, yes, into 720 pixel mode, because there's no point having it in 1080. And then we'll turn the goggles on. And there you go. Yeah, you can see we've even got an artificial horizon. However, we don't have any GPS at the moment. Are we ever going to get GPS? Well, if we never get GPS, I don't know what the point is, really. See, the problem is it's showing no GPS satellites at the moment, so I don't know really whether that's going to achieve much if we've not got a GPS. If we've not got any GPS, we got an artificial horizon, but without a GPS, nothing else is really telling us anything much. Well, that's not very helpful. Well, I don't know. I guess I just pause the video for a bit and see if the darn thing ever gets a GPS lock. If it doesn't get a GPS lock, I'm not sure what the point of it is. Well, I can't get the GPS to work on this thing. I cannot get the GPS on this DALRC QOSD to work at all. If I set the baud rate, the baud rate defaults to 38400. If I set the baud rate to anything other than 38400, it says no. It says no GPS. If I leave the baud rate at 38400, it doesn't say no GPS, but the GPS doesn't get any satellites. So we're not getting any GPS. So I have to say I can't see how much use this DALRC thing is going to be if I can't get any GPS with it. I mean, we can try it, but you know, I can't see that it's going to do an awful lot of use. But anyway, we can, where are we? We can switch this thing, the DVR on the goggles to record it, and we'll see whether it sees anything useful. I don't know. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that DVR's recording. I guess we'll set this camera to record as well. The Mobius that's on the but I mean, the whole point of the OSD is the home point is the most useful thing, and that's not going to work without the GPS, and the GPS, it seems, is just not working at all. So it seems like it's largely a waste of money, this OSD, because it seems like you just can't get the GPS to work. I'll look into it further, but it's not looking promising at the moment. It works. I mean, the actual thing works, but you know, the lights on the GPS and everything, but it just is not getting any GPS. We'll fly this thing a little bit and record it and see what it looks like, and then we'll revisit things.
Throttle cut off.
We can persuade this guy to take off.
High rate.
Gotta give him a shove to get him going. Oh, and one of my wing slides has broken off then. It's annoying. Where's the plane? Let's focus on the plane. We can pick the wing slide up afterwards. I put those skids on the wings to make so he'll take off on the grass, because otherwise he leans over too much and really won't run on the grass much at all. But they keep coming off. They're only held on by double-sided tape. But really, you know, I don't see a great deal of point in this OSD if it's never going to get a GPS lock. If the GPS is never going to work. If the GPS is never going to work, I can't see that it's a lot of use. This plane flies quite nicely. Can glide it for a bit. Glides fairly reasonably. It does have a compass that's working, I suppose, so you sort of know your heading. Well, although I don't know. And you can calibrate it, I suppose, the compass, so... See, I really don't know what's actually due north. I haven't brought a real compass out here. I always consider I basically consider the runway to be running east-west, so nominally I consider north to be the flight line side of the runway, but that doesn't mean to say that's really due north. Yeah, there's still ground mist, but it's quite the sky is quite clear now. The sun's up. Still, we don't want to go too far away, nonetheless. But I'm very disappointed that I can't seem to get the GPS on this thing working. I mean, it's sort of, and the artificial horizon for the kind of FPV I do is not very relevant, really. I don't have much trouble telling which way I'm leaning. I suppose the heading would help. But it's a big disappointment if we can't get the GPS working. It is a bit misty down near the ground there in that field. Better when you go further up, really. Shouldn't really cut the power on a glider when it's still pointing up, because you tend to stall it. Pick up this, where is it? Just behind me, that skid that came off the wing. Well, I don't know what this is proving, really, as I say. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised that I got the OSD working at all, but now I'm disappointed. I wasn't disappointed at home on the bench that I didn't get the GPS working, because I didn't really expect the GPS to work indoors. But GPS should work here fine. I mean, I have other GPS-enabled planes that work fine here. It really is a bit misty over there, isn't it? There's still some mist sort of hanging over that hill on the ground, near the ground. Yeah, I don't know if that means anything much, really. More or less, who knows? I mean, between the fact we share, I'm using I've got a 3,000 milliamp hour Zippy 3 cell in him now, because that was because I had it around and it was well charged. See, I would say he's flying now. He's flying what I would call pretty much not due north, but that doesn't mean to say it really is due north. And we'll bring him back. See, and that's what I would call pretty much south, but yeah, I would say he's flying south. But I mean, that doesn't, I wouldn't say that it actually is magnetic south or whatever. It's just nominal based on the way the runway runs and the way I tend to look at a map. But actual compass north is, I don't know. That is not a great place to be, really. The mist is lingering over that hill. There's a patch of mist lingering over that hill still. There's some other mist lingering near the ground a little bit, but... well, you know, really, in terms of checking out the OSD, that's probably going to be all we're going to get, and I mean, we might as well just bring him in, really. I mean, what's the point? I'm not going to achieve much else, am I, really, at this point? I mean, it's working okay, except for the fact that we've got no GPS, and I mean, I'm just going to have to research, see if I can figure out if other people have had problems with the GPS, I think. Get out of my face, mosquito. That's just windmilling the propeller. I've got no power on. There we go. We'll pick up this skid that we lost here, and we'll go and get the plane. Yeah, I mean, I ran him right down to the far end of the runway because I just wanted to land him gently, and anyway, you know, basically things are working okay, except the big disappointment is we don't seem to be able to get the GPS working at all, and I don't know where that leaves us. How useful the thing's going to be without the GPS, I don't know. It seems to be a bit potluck. I mean, some people I gather have got the GPS to work, but I'm certainly not the first person who's not got it to work, so... it's very disappointing, though. Because without the GPS, its value is very limited, really. Oh, well, one step at a time. That's Charlie Brown. And it's although it's quite mild this morning, I mean, it's very near the end of the season. We're not going to get a lot more flying weather, I don't think. Not unless we want to go out in the cold. Okay, so now we've got numerous cameras we want to stop. We can stop this guy recording, the Mobius on there, and yeah, see, we've still got no GPS, not surprisingly. I didn't expect it to randomly work, so we'll stop this DVR recording. And then we can disconnect things. Disappointing, distinctly disappointing, because as I say, the value of the thing without the GPS is quite limited, and it just does not seem to be able to get the GPS. Oh well, there you go. Some things work, some things don't, and it looks as if this DALRC QOSD at the moment doesn't really, not very well, not terribly usefully.